Hi, everyone. I'm going to start with asking you a question. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I mention the word money?
Riches.
Abundance. Power. Yes. Yes. And was that a grunt I heard in the background somewhere? Oh, that was a grunt. Don't worry, you're not the only one. I've spent most of my life working in finance. I started off working for Save the Children in finance, and then I came to the UK, and then I had various jobs in finance. Now, you'd think I'd be great with my money, wouldn't you? No, that wasn't the case. Let me tell you a little story of what happened. And this is a true story, by the way. I had a job working for the local authority as a finance manager, and my job was to look at budgets. We had children's centers. I don't know if you've heard of Sure Start children's centers all over the country, but I had an allocation of children's centers, and they had budgets. So my job was to go visit the managers, look at their budgets, and give them advice on what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, don't spend over here. And they took my advice seriously. Now, there was one month I didn't manage my money very well, and I ended up having no money for transport, going to work. And I thought, okay, I've got two options. Either I put food on the table, or I buy a bus fare. And I was a single mom of two children, and I figured they'd appreciate it more if I put food on the table. So that was settled. Now I had to think, how was I going to get to work? Well, I could call in sick and say, well, I'm not feeling well, but I couldn't do that for the whole month. It gets tricky with you have to get records from the doctor and notes and stuff, so I didn't want to go down that way. And then I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to walk. Now, I need you to understand that the walk from my home to my place of work was 1 hour, 30 minutes. 1 hour, 30 minutes. And then I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I put on my trainers, got ready for work. I walked, and I had loads of time to think my life through. And that time I was thinking, look at me. How pathetic. I work in finance, and I can't even manage my own money. So I thought, right. So I'd walk to work. And you know, when you're at the lift, you know, at the elevator, as you're going up, I used to work on the 6th floor. I'd see people look at my trainers, and I'd think, please don't ask me, please don't ask me, please don't ask me. And they'll say, oh, have you been walking? I would say, yeah. And then I'd look away, you know, no eye contact. And then they'll say, well, how far? Did you just get off the bus and walk? And I'd say, actually, no. 1 hour, 30 seconds, 1 hour, 30 minutes. And that's really? And then I'll turn around and I'll say, you know what? When people say walk for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, it doesn't work for me. See, it doesn't work for me because I've got 2 teenagers and I want to look young and everything else. So 1 hour, 30 minutes is the way to go. And there was this lady, and she looked at me admiringly, and I thought, oh dear. And she said, well, you know what? You're making a lot of sense. And she started walking for 1 hour as well. Well, she used to walk for about 30 minutes, so she doubled up. She said, you know, I think this is the way to go. And that's what I did. But then I started doing a bit of research. I thought, wow, I wonder what they're teaching kids in school. So I went to the library and I thought, oh, is there a book I could pick up on this? I went to the library and they said, oh, no, we don't have books like that. What? Money, finance? No, for kids? No, we don't have any of that. And I thought, right, I'm going to write my own book. So what I did was I wrote a little story, and I went to a primary school where my kids used to go. And And I went to the head teacher and I read it to her, and she said, wow, that's a great story. And the story was very short about a child who didn't manage their money well. Well, it was based on my life situation, really, and how they got into trouble. And she said, you know, that sounds really great. Why don't you have a session with our year sixes? Now, year sixes are 10, 11-year-olds that are getting ready for high school. And I said, okay, I can put something together. She said, do that. We can pay you. It's not a problem. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I put together a program. It was budgeting with your pocket money, because those kids were making a transition into high school, and that's when they start getting pocket money. So I went in there and I told them that there are 3 things you can do with your money. You can save, share, and spend. And I talked about how important it was to plan with your money. And I asked them, how many of you want to be driving when you're 18? All the hands went up. I said, where's the money going to come from? And some of them were saying, my dad, my uncle. And I said, well, life doesn't turn out like that. You have to plan. And their teacher was a lady who was going through bankruptcy at the time. And she was open with the children as well to say, had I known, had I had a lesson like this, I don't think I'll be in this situation. And she was getting married, I think. And she said, I don't think I would have been able to cope on my own, because my husband is the one who's going to be taking care of me, and the traumatic experience that she went through, and just for the kids to understand. What was interesting for me was that the children were asking questions like, you know, when you save with the bank and they give you interest, is that money yours to keep? I thought it was common sense. And I said, yeah, it's yours. And they were like, oh, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So then after that, when the council was asking people to take on redundancies, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for it and launch my own business. This was a few years down the line. And then I went on then and I thought, you know what, I'm going to publish books for kids to access and for parents as well. Because having a one-off lesson in school is all very good and well, but it's a quick fix, if you like. So I figured that if we get the parents to understand or to support the children at home, it will make a whole lot of a difference. So I put together something, and I published 2 books. See, Can you see that? Yeah. I'm really pleased with that. And the way forward really is, as parents and as educators, I think our responsibility is really to be role models. But you can't be a role model for something that you don't know. And that's why education is so important. And what it means for us is that we're going to need to learn. It will require a lot of learning, absolutely. And also changing the way that we speak. How many of us have passed on bad habits by saying, you know, when your child says, Mommy, I want this, or Dad, I want this, it's like, we don't have the money or we can't afford it. And those are attitudes that we're passing on to our children without really knowing it. And that's what they're going to be telling to their children and to their children, instead of asking questions like, Can we afford it? How can we afford it? You know, think of ways that we can afford it. And you'll find that the children will start thinking outside the box and finding ways to be able to afford it. You know, they'll think of enterprise, coming up with programs, coming up maybe with ideas that they can sell and be able to earn money. Yeah, and I think we as life educators, if we're confident in what we believe in and we go out there, I think we can change the world. And I believe everybody in this room can do just that. This is Annie Chisambo. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Thank you.